All right, the first one is inline expressions. So if I have two variables, 5 and 10, A and B, that equate to 5 and 10, I can not only print those in an F string, I can also evaluate them inside curly braces. Another example is a ternary statement inside an F string, but then it does become pretty nested. So not a big fan of it, but we'll just show it. Right, so it's one person, two persons, 0 persons. But yeah, this is a lot of nesting, so I would usually use an intermediate variable in this case. Right, next one, debugging. We can definitely do something like, so if we have, well, we have count still in the REPL, and we can print that variable doing something like this. But since Python 3.8, I believe, there's a shorter way by putting the variable in the curly braces and add an is to it. Then it will actually print the variable label as well as its content. So that's super useful. The other thing you can do with fstring is formatting. So if I have pi, if I wrap that in a string here, it will just give the full value. But if we want to round it up, I can do colon .2 .2f to round it to 2 digit, 3f, 3 digits, etc. And interestingly, you can even do this with datetimes as well. So if I have a datetime object, D, if I put it here, it will just print the whole thing. So now is this. But I can actually also do string formatting right after it. So this is the year, the month, and the day, which is pretty amazing. We can use it for aligning strings. So let's make a list of names. Let's have some ages. Let's loop through them. And this doesn't really format very nicely. So what if we use an F string here to, well, first of all, embed these strings and numbers. Here I can specify the column length and also the aligning. So if I do greater than, it will align it to the right. And if I do a less than sign, it will align it to the left. This is a bit of overkill, so I think 10 would be enough. And now you kind of align this very nicely. You can also center with the caret. Doesn't make sense here, but that's another thing you can do. So you have after the colon, you can specify the alignment with less than, greater than, or caret, and then also give the width of the column with an integer. Super useful for reporting to the command line. A last trick is to also get the object representation. So if we do from datetime import date, and let's store variable today, which is today. And today we'll have this date object, right? Now the string would be today as formatted here. The wrapper would be exactly how you create such an object. And I will link a video with more details about the difference between those two. Now, if you would embed this into an f-string, you get the string representation. If you want to have the object representation, you can, after the variable, add an exclamation mark and R, and then you get the object representation. So the wrapper. Turns out that if we use our earlier debugging technique, you also get this object representation. So that's good to know. Yeah, so both of these are valid. This might be easier, and you also get the variable label, so it might actually be easier to use. Now, I use f-strings mostly to embed variables. Also, what I didn't mention, that it works with objects as well. So if you have a class and we make an instance and we assign some variable, now this would also just work fine in an f-string. So any attribute access on instances, that works just fine. The bonus tip is how to actually express curly braces, because if I just do this, then we cannot really do literal curly braces. That doesn't work either. So if you want to have literal curly braces, then you just need to double them, right? That's a form of escaping.